Welcome, Robin. How's it going? Thank you for coming on the Wholesome
Very good,
Crypto
man.
podcast. It's been a long time since we've chatted. I know we've been friends for quite a while, but I'm glad to have you on the show and get to learn a little bit more about you.
Pleasure to be here, man. Happy to talk to you. Always happy to talk to you. I've known you for a
I
while.
know, man.
So yeah, man, I'm happy to be
Thanks.
here.
I mean, yeah, it's always great to talk to you too. I know you're in Dubai now, but you know, just to get into like how you got there and your whole history. I know you've been in a part of a lot of different projects, and you've come a long way in the crypto industry. We've been talking to each other since 17, 16, even earlier.
Yeah, something like that. Something
Jeez.
like that, I think. Yes, I think so.
So for those of you that
It's
don't
been a while,
know,
man, I think.
me and Robin we first met on the Reddit's Telegram crypto channel for Ethereum. Was that
That's true. ETH traders or
ETH
something like
Trader?
that,
And there
right?
was like only a couple
Wow.
hundred people, maybe even 1,000 people talking on this channel, and Telegram was just starting out too. And it was us just being the most active users on there, just chatting away and just shilling Ethereum as much as we can. But it was a great time. And then, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
even then, I barely knew you. So, like, at that point, where were you in life and what were you doing? I mean, I was just new into crypto too, and so were you. So, I would love to learn
Yeah.
how it's going for you.
Sure. I love to talk about this because as almost everybody that enters crypto, everybody has like super high expectations and is like super excited, and everybody does a lot of mistakes, right? Makes a lot of mistakes. So in my case, I actually got into crypto. So I'm from Europe, right? I'm originally German, and I say originally I'm still German, but I've left Germany a long time ago. I don't feel like I belong to any country these days, right? But um, so I at some point I moved to Malta in Europe, like small island just underneath Italy, and I had like two friends, Pete and Martin. It's like two crazy guys that I work with, and together between the three of us, we discovered Bitcoin in 2013, in late 2013. The price then was about $200 per Bitcoin and about like $1.50 or $2 per Litecoin.
Wow.
I mentioned those two because it's like I love talking about this because it to me it's like it was yesterday, but so much has happened in that time, right? But at that time, when you went like to Coin Market Cap, I don't even know if CoinGecko was a thing that back then, but I don't think so. When you went to Coin Market Cap, it had like 10 or 12 coins or something like that, like some crazy small amount. And yeah, we decided, we can gamble a little bit. So we each took about 500 euros back then, which is, I don't know, like about $600 or so, approximately. And yeah, we decided that we're going to buy some Bitcoin. But then the issue was that at the time you just couldn't buy it. There was just
Yep.
no way to buy it, right? So we were researching this for like a week or two, and while we were researching this, so mind you, if you look at the Bitcoin chart for late 2013, you see that there was like one of the first like major bull runs, right? So Bitcoin went from about $200 upwards, right? And we literally got to see Bitcoin be at like $200 and think, wow, that sounds like an
And it's
interesting
kind of
technology.
expensive.
Let's get in, right? Yeah, yeah. At the time, I really thought so. I was like, wow, man, this stuff was a couple dollars not that long ago, right? And now it's like $200, but 500 bucks or like $600 or so. It's not the world,
Yeah.
right? Like if you have a full time job, it's not that big. So at that time, I was like, I was a web developer. I was working, so yeah, that was like, rather, dispensable income at then. And then after 2 weeks of like, or a week and a half or so of like really looking where can we buy it, um, we just equally saw Bitcoin just go up,
Oh,
like all the time. So it went like to 250,
you
300,
waited.
400, and we couldn't buy it, man. It's not like today. So all the options there then were bad,
Yeah.
right? So um, at that time there was one big exchange which is infamously known, Mount Gox,
Oh,
which at that point was still very much operating, right? And we didn't want to go there. I don't remember why. It's not like they had a bad reputation. They had a very good reputation at the time, right? So I don't remember. I think it was fee related, something like that. And then there was an alternative, which was super shady. So that was like BTC minus
Oh, I
e.com.
remember
So
them.
yeah, of course, man. They now got busted in retrospect for actually laundering much of the money that was stolen from Mount Gox, right? So they faced trial if they haven't gotten to jail yet. They were at some point the guy behind it was captured, and yeah, it was a whole
Jeez.
story. But these back then allowed to fund a Ukrainian bank account via Swift transfer, which was a nightmare because they're super expensive. So we did that. We went to the bank, and you can imagine if you like go to the bank,
Try to get cash.
and say you want to make a
Yeah.
transfer. They ask you why would you make a transfer, and it was just $1,500, like less than $2,000 together. It was like 1,500
Let me
euros.
just move my money,
And then
please.
it's yeah, exactly. And they're like asking all those questions. And if I'm sure if I want to send money to the Ukraine, it's dangerous, blah, 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 right? So we paid all those fees. They gave us like a quote for the fees that they will take. But because it's a Swift transfer, there will also be like a fee on the receiver's end, which will also be deducted from the money that was sent.
No.
So that took another week or like 10 days easily, right? So in total, we're now talking about like 3 to 4 weeks from Bitcoin, like $200 and us making the decision of actually buying some, to then the money actually arriving, which was at about like $650, if I remember correctly. So it tripled in price. And then our money arrived, but only about 80% because the rest was just deducted in fees. Thanks, banks. And yeah, but then we finally managed to buy it, right? So we each bought like, I don't know, like $400 or so worth of Bitcoin then. And that wasn't even a full Bitcoin at that time
No.
anymore, right? So we were really frustrated at this point. And then, yeah, we saw Bitcoin go up to about like $1,100 or so. And we thought we were, freaking geniuses, right? And then naturally the cycle was over and it dumped really
Yeah.
hard. Like it was one of these days where it doesn't happen today anymore, where Bitcoin goes down like 30% or so in a day. This just doesn't happen anymore, right? But back then that wasn't uncommon, right? There wasn't a lot of value, a lot of volume, so yeah. And then actually what happened is that one of those friends told me that he wants to get out and if I want to buy it. And so I did. So I bought his share of Bitcoin for about the same that we paid
Good.
for it.
I mean,
And
now
yeah,
retrospectively
it
is
was good.
good.
That was good. So that was my first interaction with crypto. And then yeah, the market was over and I was trying to like get into trading, but the fees were like crazy high, much higher than they are today. And there were not that many assets to trade. So back then there was like Feather Coin and Name Coin
Red
and
coin.
like yeah, exactly, like these type of coins, right? And I was trying to be smart. And this is something that I see with everybody in crypto now. They're all like trying to like trade and be like the master trader of the century, like trying to outsmart everybody, and that kind of works when you're in a bull market because anything you buy will eventually pump, but it doesn't work when the cycle just ended, right? So I lost some money there, probably about like 50%
Yeah.
or so what I held at the time. And that was it for my crypto at the time, right? So in the end, I got stuck in at least Litecoin and not like Namecoin or Feathercoin or something like that. And yeah, that was it for a couple of years. And then that was roughly at the time when I met you as well. A friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, asked me if I've ever heard about Ethereum. And Ethereum never, right?
Yeah.
Because it didn't exist then. And he told me, yeah, it's this like coin, similar to Bitcoin, but more complicated. So at that time, the concept of like smart contracts was super arbitrary, right? It just people didn't really understand. Everybody was just thinking that, yeah, not much really. They just thought it would be like Bitcoin, right?
No
With
one
some
thought
added
much of
features.
into it.
Yeah, there was no DeFi. There was barely any like tokens on it yet. It was super cheap to to interact with Ethereum at the time. It literally cost cents back then. Like BSC today, it's crazy. Like it was so cheap. And so I bought some for $2 or $3 at the
Wow,
time.
nice.
And then, yeah, not a lot though, like $200 worth or so. But yeah, that was a lot then, right? And yeah, so then with my, like, I don't know, 50 or 100 Ethereums or so, I was like, I was barely monitoring it. So it's not like today where you like refresh your portfolio every day and we're like, yeah, up, down. No, it's like the market wasn't moving that fast then, right? So at some point, like 2 weeks later or so, I realized that I don't actually remember the time frame, but I realized that Ethereum was like $12. So I was like, whoa, I like quadrupled my money, right? So I sold it naturally, as people do. And that was it, right? And then a couple of months later, or maybe a month or two later or so, the same friend asked me, so man, do you still have your Ethereum? I'm like, no, man, I sold it, made 4x, super nice. And then he told me it was $50. And I was like, what? Classic, right? So yeah, long story short, right? That's when I rebought Ethereum. And then I started really getting into it, right? And I really started to like try to understand what we can do, right? Start hanging out with like-minded people, and that's exactly when we met. And I think at that point we started talking a lot, right? I don't even know what, man. We were just like
we were just
trading and
chatting
having
and
fun,
speculating. I mean, that was the whole market, and just us, what's going to be the next one to pump? And I feel like it takes. I mean, me and you have been through a lot of burns over the years. We've lost some cash, and it's just like that's when I really learned. Like, I'm just gonna hodl. Like, I don't care anymore. I don't want to. I don't want to make any more money. I don't care. I just want to hodl with what I have, because at this point, like personally, I just truly believe in the cryptocurrency industry, in the cryptocurrency space, that it's gonna change how the world works completely. And it's like, I don't even care about dollar value anymore. I just want to have some crypto just to be part of the industry, part of the space, and learn from other people. Because now it's all about, where the tech is taking us. And I think there's less trade talk and more tech talk, from my opinion, though.
Yeah. I think it depends who you speak to, right? I think there's still a lot of people that trade on a daily basis.
Of course, yeah.
I see them, right? And the thing with like just buying and holding is that it's an incredibly boring strategy, right? And people don't like that, even though I keep telling them. So whenever somebody talks to me and asks me, hey, can I buy some Bitcoin or whatever, right? Then the story is always the same. They're always like, okay, how do I buy? Tell me when I can buy. And it's always like the same story. It's like, I have like $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 or whatever. Can I buy now? And I'm like, dude, don't, just like DCA, just buy like regularly, set up Coinbase, set up Binance. It doesn't matter. There's so many tools now. There's even some DeFi tools, but of course, the people that ask me how to buy Bitcoin, they don't know what DeFi is. But it's a very boring strategy, right? So it's really, really hard to convince people, and though I do my best, to convince people to just buy regularly, don't trade,
and hold.
But it's greed is like, if it's not the most powerful, then it certainly is among the more powerful emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So or desires, more like. So
it's one of the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah, like yes, like even I have a friend also in Germany now, who's like asking me for like very small amounts, right? So he doesn't want to be bothered with like Coinbase or whatever, so he's just like sending me some money, and he's a good friend, right? So I don't mind doing that. But he's just sending me like some PayPal, and I sent him like some Ethereum, right? And we're talking about like 50 or $100 at a time, right? So like minor amounts. And even this guy, right? So like one day he's buying Ethereum, 2 weeks later he's buying some Bitcoin, and then like after 3 or 4 weeks he's starting showing me some screenshots of some shit coins. It's like, man, see, if I would have bought
that's
this,
the word. If I would have, if
much
I
more
should have,
money
could
now,
have, would have. Of course you could have. Of course you would have. Everything is clear in hindsight.
Yeah, exactly. 2020, and yeah, but that's just such a like I would blame them for that if we wouldn't have made the same mistakes. right? We were in so many altcoins in 2016 and now 17 and 18 as well. I lost so many paper gains,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just by not selling into Ethereum, Bitcoin, or even like dollar, right? That I've just learned that. I'm an extremely conservative investor now, but the narrative is always the same. Every time I speak to somebody and I tell them, listen, just buy Ethereum, just buy Bitcoin,
Same.
they always tell me the same thing, right? They always tell me, um, yeah, you can do that because you've already made money. But for somebody that hasn't made money yet, they cannot make money with Ethereum and Bitcoin. That's the narrative, right? Even now you see this, right? There's a reason that they're all like in NFTs and
Yeah.
altcoins, right? And that Bitcoin is not rallying, even though a lot of people come in, right? So um, the narrative around Bitcoin is even worse because they're like always talking about how Bitcoin is so slow and this is like the boomer crypto. Why are you talking about boomer crypto? Man, crypto's 10 years old. What are you talking about, man? You know, it's like you boomer
It's like
crypto,
dog
man.
years.
What?
Every year in crypto is like 7 years.
Yeah, it's really nuts, right? But luckily, I do. You know, I hope anyway that I get through to these people that want to get into crypto and that I hopefully give them some insights and some, you know, like I always remind them of the simple fact that Ethereum was $80 last year.
Wow, last
$80,
year was it? Jeez.
right? Last year, you know,
Wow.
during the COVID dip, right? You had like 1 or 2 days to buy Ethereum at that price between like 80 and $100. And now it is like what, $3,500? Yeah, but you cannot make money with those mainstream coins anymore, right? It just isn't true. But people want to get rich quick, but you know, get rich quick schemes, you know how they
Yep.
end, you know.
Poorly for most people. Don't fall into it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
yeah,
Then, yeah. After all that, what we started looking for, positions in the crypto industry. I remember me talking.
yeah,
I think you were developing some crypto portfolio manager, and that was
yeah.
pretty awesome. And then I think you led into the next thing, which was you trust, right?
Yes.
So what were you doing there?
Yep. See, like let's back up there because that might be something that your audience is actually interested in,
Hmm.
right? So the reason I got into Utrust or into working with Utrust was that I didn't actually try, right? I didn't try to find a job in crypto like a lot of people do now. A lot of people right now, they're constantly asking me, how can I find a job in crypto? I want to start in crypto, right? Like how can I find a job here? And I didn't try at the time at all. So what happened there was very simple. The company, Utrust, which is like the PayPal of crypto, highly recommended, check it out. They had a pre-sale for their initial coin offering back in 2017. I want to say. I think it. I want to say it was sometime like in August 17, something like that. And I was part of their pre-sale, so I participated. I bought like I don't know, like $1,000 worth of the pre-sale or something like that. And then naturally, to protect my investment, right, I was very active in their
Yep.
community. So back then, it was very common for projects to have Slack channels, right? Today, it's more like Discord and Telegram, but back then, it was mainly Slack. And I was just very active there. So what happened then is that a lot of people were asking questions, and because I was so active, I answered those questions before the actual team could, right? And eventually they picked up on that. After like a week or two, literally the CEO of this company um, DM'd me and said, "Hey man, I wanted to say thank you. You know, I see how much you help out our moderators here. I really appreciate it, and I wanted to ask you if you're available to work for us." And that came completely out of the blue, right? But the moral of this story is that if you really want to get involved with any crypto projects, then provide value to them, right? It is very, very hard to find people that you can rely on, right? This is not only true for crypto, but everywhere. So if somebody sees that you are, in fact, valuable, right? That you're trying to help them, that you're trying to answer questions, that you maybe do something for them, maybe you create some graphics for them for fun, maybe you, I don't know, right? There's so many ways to contribute meaningfully to a project.
Hmm.
And if they are in fact looking for people, that do what you offer, they'll hire you, no doubt, because it's very hard to find them, right? So that is exactly what happened with Utrust. So then they made me an offer that they would hire me and pay me for do what I was doing already for free, right? So I was very happy about that, and that continued. And I think at some point, yeah, they started like a Telegram channel as well and like a Reddit. And I think that's when you got involved.
Yep, and that's when I got involved in trying to work with you on community management and some Reddit moderation, which I minorly do today, but yeah, it was a really enjoyable experience because both of us were just into the crypto project, and I think that's a message for everyone. It's if you love a project, just be part of the community, be a contributing member to the community. You will be recognized, you will be seen, and someone will try to pick you up, especially when there is a need.
Yeah, that's it exactly. And yeah, I think then what happened is just very natural progression. We were just working for them, and at some point it was a bit more complicated for you because you're not in Europe,
US.
and Utrust has an office in Portugal. So at some point, the same person that DM'd me from Utrust asked me if I wanted to come to the office, which was like, again, totally out of the blue, right? It just goes to show that when you are valuable and your work, that's important, right? So on the one hand, you have to provide value, but on the other hand, you also need to work with a team that appreciates value, which is not always the case, right?
Yeah.
So it is very easy to get exploited, right? So you need to be a bit self-aware about that.
Work for a legitimate company, legitimate team.
Yeah. Know your value, right? Which is, again, this happens so often. Like literally a couple of days ago, somebody from a Telegram group that we're both in, by the way, DM'd me and said, listen, I would like to work in crypto, but I don't know what I would charge or what I should charge, etc. Right? So I just gave them some tips, because again, I think people naturally tend to more often than not undervalue themselves, but occasionally also like overestimate how much they are doing, right? So it is very hard when you're younger and you don't have that much experience as a contractor or in any way of like measuring your time or your effort, or your contribution or value. Then it's very hard to like really measure what you can do. So it will take some practice. Maybe you get lucky, maybe you get unlucky, but over time, just always keep grinding, right? Like always try to see what others are doing, try to educate yourself, and if you think that somebody isn't appreciating your value as much as it should, then move on, right? But generally, that's a good way, to get into crypto projects.
That's the thing, like, I mean, everyone talks about proof of work in the crypto industry, and that's exactly what you have to do as a person is show proof of work that you can actually do something in the crypto industry. There's tons of job boards now that have crypto jobs, and a lot of them are asking, when you apply, they ask, okay, do you have any material that you can show us that you've done? And in the beginning, it's really hard because I didn't have anything either, but my only proof of work was, here's my proof of messages and interaction with the community and that I'm knowledgeable. So, the first one's the hardest, and, keep growing from there.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point because that's exactly what happened, right? So after going to the office and getting a bit more involved with Utrust, I really just started working a lot closer with them. I got really close to the CEO, who now is like one of my best friends, like literally like my absolute like inner circle, right? So this was just a very, very good experience, right? Where you provided a lot of value, you learned a lot. I still learn from that guy, right? Like it's always good to learn from people, but even over the years, I'm still like learning.
That's good.
From the same person. Yeah, for sure. Exactly, very wholesome. And at some point, like I left Utrust and started working on some other things. And then a couple of years later, maybe like 2 years later or so, we had like a talk, and he wanted to do something, but that he couldn't because he was involved in Utrust, and he didn't want to, to like sacrifice any of the time that he's putting into Utrust. But he had this idea together with me where you would like have a crypto card, Visa card,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you could, just it's similar to Coinbase, right? In a way that you had like an app where you could like exchange crypto and whatnot, and you could like borrow against it, which is something that Coinbase, of course, doesn't do. And then again, just long story short, there's a crypto Visa with some app, right? So I did this with a bit of support from him and some other people. So that's again, like where the connection from Utrust or like the person that I met through Utrust came into play and just developed more. And then I learned a lot in this position and founding this company, which then, funnily enough, was later actually acquired by Utrust, which is funny. And so it's like full circle. And then once again, after this was done, and I learned a lot again. That was in 2018, right? And then it was acquired in 2019 or 2020. I don't remember exactly now. And then in the year of COVID, right, 2020, we slowly saw crypto come back to life, right? And very quickly, with the power of what's now known as DeFi, of course, and automated market makers. That was just an incredible revolution. So nobody was talking about like NFTs or something at that point, even though they fully existed. This technology, everybody thinks NFTs were just like, but they're like
CryptoKitties were,
this is years ago,
NFTs,
right?
and just
they used the same standard, man. It's crazy. So it's like, really, they've been around forever. But because we are still in such a like quickly maturing yet still so
infant,
like an industry that it's in its complete infancy, even though it's been around like for like 12 years now, 10 11 years, something like that. And it's a complete infancy, right? But it's developing so fast that people like tend to forget, what was crypto like a year or two ago, which is every time you do this, like if you at every point in time, if you compared crypto today to like 2 or 3 years ago, it's like your head explodes because so much has happened, right?
It's a huge change.
But so then, go ahead.
No, I was saying it's definitely a huge change between every year. It seems like there's a new thing to rave about and try to get your money into. And
very much. It's like like for example, right? So then after I took a break again, so usually I disappear in the bear markets, which is something that a lot of people don't do, right? Like they really do work. They build a huge network of partners or just general like connections and whatnot during the bear market, because that's really when the people are around that really care about the space, right? I really care about the space. I still don't want to be around the bear market, for one single reason, right? That people tend to ignore when the bear market is there, right? Which is when the bear market is there, then you have a lot of time, right? It's literally just you build, right? You focus on like building what you are out to build, or like I don't know. There's generally speaking, if you compare like the bear market to the bull market, when there's bull market, essentially you can work like 20 hours a day and you still think you're behind, right? So there's just so much happening in such a short time frame that most people, not me, I make a point not to be like that, but most people they sacrifice their sleep, they sacrifice their health, right? They sacrifice everything because the fear of missing out during the bear market is just so intense, right? That people are they're just going crazy, right? Every business going crazy, every individual goes crazy, and it's getting worse and worse and worse until it pops, right? But then during the bear market, you finally have like time to breathe, right? And people tend to forget how the bull market was during the bear market, and then they just don't do it, right? They just I don't know, they cry over their paper games that they lost, or they do so much, but they don't travel, right? They don't spend some of the money they made. They don't have fun in life, right? And Instead, they're just looking forward to the next bull market, right? And I'm not like that at all. But yeah, that's why I'm like usually taking a break during the bear market, because that's the time to do it, right?
Well,
Like
yeah,
taking like
that too, but also the bear market is a great time to get yourself into like the latest projects, new projects, probably reinvest. I mean, classic Warren Buffett, right? You just buy when it's down and low and calm, and then wait for the bull to sell.
Of course.
A bear market is so underrated in how much value you can create for yourself.
Yeah, of course, because nobody likes to buy when something just depreciated by 50 or 60%.
Yeah, that's the time to buy it.
But at the same time, right? So even though I tell everybody to DCA, like dollar cost average, all the time on a weekly basis without checking the price, etc. Personally, if I would use DCA, which I don't against my own advice, but if I would DCA like all the time during the bull market, I wouldn't touch it during the bull market. But if we're like in a confirmed bull market and things would like genuinely be corrected by like 40 or 50 or 60%, yeah, I would increase those weekly buys. I would increase them big time. I would funnel a lot more money into the space than right now. Right now, it's such a risky time to get involved. Not get involved in crypto, but to make big investments, right? Like to get involved in crypto is never a bad time. There's never a better time than like today, right? But yeah, I would take it easy with taking like big chunks of money and throwing them at crypto at this point in the cycle,
For sure. And yeah, I mean, that's just like, I mean, it's all also a learning experience. It takes, like, it's so easy for us to say it too, because we also lived through it. And I have many friends who are looking at me like, oh, what about if I just, buy it on the low and sell on the high? I'm like, you can't just do that. It's not that easy. It's really hard. And I mean, I encourage them to like, all right, if you really think you can do it, take $100 or whatever you're willing to lose and test it out. Test your theory. Never works because it's just it's too hard to time. That's why I'm a hodler.
Even if it would work the first time, they would lose all their money on the second time. So it's like it just doesn't work.
There's only a handful of people that just rave on Twitter saying how much they've made so quickly on some coin. I'm like, don't listen to those people.
No, those are usually the same people that make calls every day 5 times and then delete the ones that didn't work. So it looks like they're always right? But yeah, I mean, there's so much that we could talk about when it comes to like crypto, particularly for newbies, right? It's just there's so much. But I mean, really, like, the best thing is just to get involved with as you say, as much as you're willing to lose. With that said, I just recently got a friend of mine here in Dubai involved in crypto, and he was always telling me, he had like a few thousand euros, so like whatever, how many dollars, and he was like, yeah, just can I get in now? Can I get in now? I don't care about the money, and I was like, listen, you're investing so much money. What you're experiencing is FOMO. If you really truly do lose 50% of this money, you would kick yourself. But so now we started buying on a weekly basis, and it's like, so that's better.
Now, I guess for you, are you at a time where is trading? I mean, obviously, trading is still important for you and everybody. It's just something you want to do to make money, but right now, what are you really focusing on in the crypto industry? How are you spending your day to day?
Sure. So moving on from that story earlier, when I from this like visa in crypto, when the market picked up again last year, I started trading, got involved into DeFi, really educating myself on what has changed, like what was the delta between me leaving and like me entering again, right? And there was a lot as expected. And it took me maybe like a week or two, to really get familiar with, what is Uniswap, what are liquidity provider tokens and all
Yield
this.
farming.
Such a like mind just like, that was crazy at the time, but I was so profitable too. But then after like 2 months or so, I once again talked to a friend of mine who it's good to have friends in crypto, right? Let me just get this out. So particularly people that have companies in crypto and whatnot, right? Because they know a lot of people. So I then talked to one of my buddies, and he was like, um, he is in touch with the people at, I don't know if you heard about it. Um, there's a company in crypto that is very similar to Kickstarter in the traditional world. They're called Polkastarter.
Mm-hmm.
So they're taking these ideas from tomorrow, and they help them raise money like Kickstarter essentially, but for crypto. And I really liked this project. I was actually following this project for a while, and then this buddy was like, "Oh yeah, I know the CEO. Do you want me to arrange a call?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And of course, I want you to arrange a call, right? And so I just jumped on a call with that company at some point, and they interviewed me. They liked me, and a week later, so I started working
Nice.
for them. And that is what I do now, right? So they are, as I said, they are a crypto fundraising company essentially, right? Where people conduct things that are called IDOs, initial decentralized offerings. So, while I say they are like Kickstarter, it's just the concept is the same,
Yeah.
but they are firmly decentralized. So they're you don't need to sign up or anything. You can literally just go on the website with any like Web3 wallet like MetaMask
Mm-hmm.
and participate in these initial decentralized offerings, right? And get access to these ideas of tomorrow today. And I started there as a market analyst. So this company prides itself, so Polkastarter prides itself with essentially vetting companies. So not everybody can raise funds on Polkastarter. They're similar, very similarly to Kickstarter. So they're very few, like very highly vetted projects that get to raise funds on
Okay.
Polkastarter. And I was one of the people that actually vetted those companies, right? So it involved a lot of like calls and just due diligence
Wow.
on projects, like really going deep into like tokenomics and understanding what their marketing plan is, what their team is like, getting a really good, like there are so many like data points that we try to collect it. And I did that for a few months, like 3 months, I think. And then we at the company essentially decided that we would like to have a product guy that really focuses on, like tries to understand what the market wants, and then coordinates with tech and the leadership team to combine essentially what we're technically feasible for, and what like our executives and leadership wants to do, right? And so I became their chief product officer, CPO,
Mm-hmm.
and that has been 3 months now. So on a daily basis, really, what's happening is focusing on the market, trying to understand not on like project like prices or market movements or something like that, more like identifying trends, understanding what works in the market, right? Maybe analyzing some new ideas that are out there. Like for example, right now, of course, there are NFTs
Yeah.
are extremely hot, right? So we are now actually just planning a big launch, like a V2 Polkastarter launch,
Awesome.
which is going to introduce so many features. But yeah, basically that's what I do, right? Like really focus on the product, listening to users, coordinating with our tech, our leadership team, and making sure that Polkastarter is the best it can be.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one better than you for that position, so I'm glad you. All right.
Thanks.
And yeah, man, I mean, it's pretty amazing. Like all these new companies are coming up, especially PokerStarter is a pretty big
Yeah.
one, and how they're all contributing differently to the DeFi and crypto space. And I think as more and more is happening, it's starting to like really click for some people. Like, oh wow, this is world's changing. Before it was just, oh, we're changing money, and then we're changing it's like legal contracts, and now we're changing
Yeah.
how people experience almost any interaction through the
Yeah.
blockchain, through crypto. And right now it's really a race between who's gonna do it, first mover, doing it properly,
Yeah.
and having a strong uptime. Like we just recently there was the outage with Solana and Arbitrum, and that's
Yep.
I mean, some people take that as like a bad hit where you can't recover from, but I think you can recover from those things.
Yep.
It's a learning experience. Cryptocurrency is all programmed by human beings, and human beings can make mistakes. It's not some it is a shadowy supercoder, but it's a human being who's doing the coding. And
Yeah,
it just like goes to show like we need more people in the space contributing, trying, and helping out, rather than just discussing trade tactics.
definitely, man. I think, to quickly go into these down times, right? I think there's a lot of things that can be said about this, right? Like, whenever something like this happens, I mean, I have a strong opinion on this, right? But it's not the place, But whenever something like this happens, people try to defend their positions, right? If they, when this happened, went short, for example, they will just try to destroy Solana,
Mm-hmm.
right? They'll just say, listen, they'll never recover from this, right? They are like, this is garbage, it's decentralized, this is over. And then on the other hand, you have people that hold Solana and they just say the opposite, right? They say, wow, Solana is so strong. It collapsed under like 400,000 transactions per second. All of both of these statements are wrong, right? And I think in the end, it's a bit of a timing thing. So in their cases, I absolutely think they will recover because we're still in a bull market, right? And I think if this would have happened 2 years ago during like a firm bear market, I think they could be dead now, right? But they're not, right? And they're also, what people forget is that both of these have like so much backing, right? So it really depends on who who does it happen to, right? Like Solana has enormous backing from FTX and whatnot. And Arbitrum, man, they have so much backing from the entire world of Ethereum. So yeah, both of them will survive, of course, right? Still, it's not ideal, but yeah, of course, humans make mistakes, and we will learn. And again, like if you look at all this in this like 2 or 3 year time span that we were talking about earlier, nobody's even going to remember that this ever
Exactly.
happened.
It's it moves too quick. People are gonna forget, and
Yeah,
just how this industry is. So,
pretty much.
would you say cryptocurrency has changed your life, the whole industry? Did you ever even expect to even go this, like, when you first heard about Bitcoin, did you even think this is going to be my world?
I think that will be the understatement of the century, man. I think I I have absolutely no idea what I would be doing in life without crypto. Um, I was a web developer at the time. I haven't developed anything for the last 5 years. I got pretty much burned out, I think. And I was burned out for a long time when I stopped too, right? So crypto came just back into my life at the very right moment, right? So when this conversation from earlier, like when my buddy was like, when I was buying Ethereum at like $2 or $3 or $4, I don't remember exactly. And then later when my buddy was talking about it again and told me it's like $50, I was already like done with developing at that time. But at the same time, I was one of the lead developers in a company in London. So at that time, it's just this like bull market of like 2016, 17. It was my exit
Yep.
ticket. It was just so perfectly timed that
You had to take it.
yeah. And then yeah, exactly, man. There was just here was my golden ticket, man. Yeah, I honestly don't know where I would be today because I was already unhappy with what I was doing, right? And I'm sure I would have figured it out, but I sure wouldn't have played the games that crypto had provided me.
So now that you've been in the crypto industry for so long, I have to know, what is your crypto pet peeve?
Right now,
In general, now and whenever.
NFTs.
NFTs?
No, right now it's okay. So I say NFTs, but it is NFTs is just the current one, and it's always the same reason. It's the lack of innovation. And that is always a very short term annoyance to me because there is absolutely no shortage of innovation in crypto on a macro level, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at crypto on a year, as we just said again and again, right? If you look at it in like a year, 2 year, or 3 year time span, it just keeps reinventing itself, which is insane. But on a day to day, week to week, or month to month level, it is sometimes so difficult to see the good, you know. Like NFTs is just the latest craze, right? It's I just wrote about it like this morning. They started with something quote unquote decent, like CryptoPunks, for
Yeah.
example, right? I don't agree with CryptoPunks. I don't know why people buy them, but fine. At least they were original, right? Um, but then what happened now is that people literally on TikTok. I watch way too many
I
TikToks,
don't have
but
that downloaded,
my TikTok
thankfully.
knows me. Yeah, don't download. It's huge. It's a huge like time pit of your life. Don't do it, man. It's fun though. But my TikTok algorithm knows me very well, so I see a lot of crypto content, and I literally on a daily basis I see people explain how to do NFTs, how to make a lot of money with NFTs, creating NFTs, not only buying and selling,
Jeez.
but creating NFTs, right? Like now you have this craze of just painting or like drawing a few sprites and then using a software to generate like you paint like if you look at these like current they call them like profile picture NFTs,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like PFPs, um, where you just have like a head and like different accessories, you know, whatever, a different dress and like sometimes there's a cigarette in the
Yeah,
mouth and
sunglasses and
you know stuff
such.
like that. Exactly. So they just paint all of these or like draw all of these individual sprites, which might be a couple hundred. You can literally go to Fiverr and do this for a couple $100. And then you use a software to generate 10,000 unique NFTs based on those sprites with like just random combinations of them, right? And then you sell them. And that is what's happening right now, right? So it's like complete garbage in my opinion. It's like it's
Yeah,
and then every
it's the
yeah.
ones that have like some
But
type of enhancement of like where you can have like different utility of like maybe joining group chats or having access to something, or like the
yeah,
ones I like a lot are like trading card games. Like that makes sense.
yeah,
Like
actual
that
games.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
exactly.
But yeah, just having
Yeah,
profile pics is kind of like okay.
yeah. But you know, like even like because the general like you know in the space they always talk about JPEGs, right? Like JPEGs, even though I disagree with the valuation of current quote unquote JPEGs, I understand that they're collector's items,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I have a real artist that painted something like this guy in the UK recently who said he designed or he just painted a lot of like paintings and now you can make a decision. If you buy one, you can either get the original or the NFT. If you take the NFT, he will destroy the original, or vice
Oh
versa,
wow.
right? So you know, like I kind of get this. I'm not like an art guy. I don't have like paintings. Maybe one day, you know, but I don't. I'm not in that space. But I understand the space exists, right? And it has existed for a very long time. So this I understand, but I try to understand. But what I don't understand is these like auto-generated composite NFTs, right? They just make no sense. And the thing is that they are just clones and clones of clones, right? And that is why I say that my pet peeve is always right now it's NFTs, but before it was NFTs, it was just projects cloning other projects, doing minor
Yeah,
iterations like changing the name,
that makes
changing like the
sense.
fee on
Mm-hmm.
transfer, stuff like that, right? So it's always copies of copies of copies of copies for a while, and then there's a new trend and the thing resets and it happens again, right? So this is my pet peeve, but this is how innovation works, I suppose, right? You just have people experimenting fast, but yeah, it's like it always ends up in wow, there's a new trend, this is amazing, let's make a lot of money. Wow, there's a lot of clones, and wow, there's a lot of clones of clones. Wow, this trend is dead. Next, right? So
And we're
that's
gonna
it.
see a lot more of that for
Yes,
sure.
I'm sure. Yeah, I wonder what the games is the next thing, right? Like now, games it's extremely hot, right? There's like play to
Games and
earn.
renting out digital space in a virtual world,
Oh yeah, land
virtual
sales
land.
and games, both of which happening on Polkastarter right now.
Uh
Right? Just saying. But yeah, so right, we are always on top of those trends, and as you say, right, it's like land sales and games are like super huge right now. So what you can expect is that a lot of land sales will be copied, cloned, right?
Yep.
A lot of will happen with the games. people will clone games, clones of clones, and then the trend dies.
Like
Next, right?
expert market.
So yeah, it's like, but it is really like that. It's just people, they just, somebody plants a lemon tree. The lemon tree has extremely juicy lemons, so everybody starts planting lemon trees, right? And that's exactly crypto, man. Until there's a next trend, and yeah, it's a never-ending story, I suppose.
So to end it off, what made you smile the most recently? Give you
What made me?
ear to ear smile. You just like, it could be anything, not crypto related. Just like maybe you saw a puppy and you got super
Yeah.
excited. So
No, no. I bought an apartment in Dubai, with crypto, I might add, right? So I was very happy about this because it took
hard
me
work.
a very long time to get not only to the crypto gains that I've made today, but also, and that is very, very important, taking profit, right? It is like greed is, again, I say that again and again, but greed is such a strong desire that people just never cash out, right? I mean, like for me, it's easy to say because previously I lived in Portugal where there are no crypto taxes. Now I live in Dubai where there's no taxes at all, right? So it's easier, for me than for others, naturally. But taking profits off the table, particularly when your entire I literally know people that from last year or like from like 2 years ago that turned a couple $1,000, like 5,000 or so, into millions in this cycle, right? And they
Wow.
still don't take major profits, right? And
Jeez.
that is just such a dangerous game because when the cycle is over, these paper gains are going to disappear. I had to learn that. I think you learned that too, Rudy. Um, and so when I did take this money out and I bought an actual apartment with it, I was very happy about
Good.
this,
Yeah, your
right?
hard work
Because
paid
that
off.
means that this apartment nobody can take from me. Bear market, I don't care. I don't pay rent, So it's this was a big deal for me.
Congratulations, man, and thank you so much for spending
Thanks, man.
time with me here today. And yeah, it was always great talking to you. And
Pleasure, man.
I'll speak to you soon. Thank you, everybody else.
Thanks, man.
See ya.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.